Hey, what's up guys, it's Marf, and I know I'm a bit late to this, but Asphalt recently released a roadmap video on their YouTube channel which discussed a ton of upcoming features and news things that I would definitely like to cover, and so I'm expecting a lot of these features to be included within the next update or two, so these are definitely on the way. And they include some pretty substantial changes. Yes, we will get into the new major edition, which is Chicago, in a little bit after we discuss the new features and changes. Alright, so first up is something really massive, and this is 2 brand new game modes. I was very surprised when new game modes were on the menu in terms of the release of Asphalt Legends Unite, but I'm super excited to see yet more game modes being added after the launch of Asphalt Legends Unite. So first up, we have team races. Now, if you've ever played Forza Horizon or any of those types of games that have a team race mechanic, you'll feel right at home. Essentially, this is a game mode where it plays very similarly to normal multiplayer. However, the 8 players are split into 2 teams of 4. So it's essentially a 4 versus 4. And at the end, the points are awarded to each individual player based on the final position. However, the team with the most combined points wins the overall match. So again, if you've ever played team races in Forza Horizon, you'll definitely know exactly what's going on. Now, this will be included in the Multiplayer 2 series, so I don't think this is coming to MP1 anytime soon, but it's definitely a nice change of pace for MP2. And just a quick note, this isn't a permanent replacement for MP2, this is just going to be one of the rotating modes that we get. Next up, we have a single player game mode, and this is a boss mode. So this is a 1 versus 1 against an aggressive boss AI. So they didn't reveal too many details about this, but I can imagine that this will be a souped up version of the AI that is used for the security cars. If you've ever played the Drive Syndicate mode, you know that the security guards are constantly ramming into you, trying to bump you off track, block you, etc. And I can imagine that they are going to use a slightly different version of this AI behavior with this new boss mode. Now, in my opinion, the security forces in the Drive Syndicate are really more just annoying than an actual threat. So if they up the difficulty and ramp up the aggressiveness, then I think this could be a very awesome game mode. Now, for those of you unfamiliar, we did actually have very similar game modes in the past in terms of the dual game mode. So in Asphalt 6, and I believe also in a couple of other Asphalt modes, we had a duel, which was a 1 versus 1 mode. Now, the AI in those game modes weren't necessarily more aggressive than normal AI, they would just pit you against a very powerful car and you would have to beat them at the end of the race. So I'm thinking that they're sort of bringing this type of mechanic back, but with a little bit of a twist, and I'm very excited to see it make a return. Now, this will be my personal favorite addition, and this is some huge additions to the private lobbies feature. So you guys know that ever since we had access to private lobbies, I have been begging Gameloft for a bunch of controls, and we finally have some of them. Now, this isn't the complete mass of controls that I would like to have, however, this is a huge step in the right direction. Firstly, we now have the ability to toggle on slipstream mode, so you can choose between classic and slipstream. This, however, goes even further because we also have the ability to control both collisions and knockdowns. I was really worried that if they were adding this feature, it would only be just knockdowns on or off. However, this seems, because there are 3 buttons in that little menu section, it seems to give us the ability to turn off knockdowns or collisions independently. So we could have the best of both worlds where we have collisions to make esports races and tournaments a bit more of a visceral and lively experience without the fear of knockdowns. So we could have collision based races with tournaments, and I'm so excited to host these in the future in upcoming streams. And last but not least, for the private lobby edition, you can see that if you do choose to have a classic race with collisions enabled, you can adjust the ghost timing at the start of races. So this is very similar in multiplayer 1, where at the beginning of the race for about 10 to 15 seconds, you don't have any collisions enabled, but they do resume after that 10 or 15 second gap. And with this update, you will have the ability to control that ghost collision at the start of races. Okay, moving on here, we will have some new multiplayer rewards, and yes, this is a direct screenshot from the video, so it isn't just some janky spreadsheet that I put together together last minute, this is direct from Gameloft. I'm not going to read every single one of these, so if you want to go into more detail, be sure to pause the video and look for yourself, but essentially you will be getting more card packs for reaching the different sub-tiers like Platinum 1, 2, 3, and 4. Lastly, in terms of the features, we have a very big addition, which is for platforms without advertisements such as the PlayStation 5 or Nintendo Switch. It was often annoying because you couldn't really refill gas in your cars very quickly, or you couldn't watch ads to get those free ad packs. However, Gameloft is introducing a skip mechanic for a limited amount of times per day. You can use it on, let's say, a refill for your car, or different things like hazard level in the Drive Syndicate, or of course, like I mentioned earlier, the free packs in the store. So it will be limited to a certain amount of uses per day, which is fair because an unlimited amount would just be unfair. However, there isn't really a lot of detail as to what exactly this applies to, but it seems like it will apply to most everything that you could watch ads for on the other platforms. Alrighty, and last but certainly not least, we have the new track, which before I continue, I do want to get out of the way that I am super incredibly biased and upset that it isn't Los Angeles, and in fact the secondary city close to my heart, Chicago. I visit this city almost once or twice every single year for an extended period of time, so I know this city like the back of my hand. And yeah, I had no idea what was going on in the gameplay footage. They did reveal a full lap, so I'm going to share that gameplay with you guys here as well so you can take a look for yourself. But unfortunately, there aren't really a whole lot of landmarks that I recognize throughout this run. Now, again, this is only one part of the track. I'm sure we are missing a lot, as I'll go through in a little bit here. But I do have to say, in terms of the layout itself, I am seeing both very positives and a little bit of concerns. As a lot of people rightly pointed out in the comment section of this roadmap video, there are a lot of 90-degree corners. However, that is slightly mitigated by the fact that you can see with those corners comes the rounded edges that seem pretty obvious for wall riding. Again, this isn't going to help the fact that 90-degree corners are just super annoying in a game like Asphalt. However, if you can wall ride those, it will be a little bit better. With this specific run they showed us at the end of the video, it did seem like the variant they were using was definitely top speed oriented. However, talking about those 90-degree corners I just touched on, it does feel like overall there will be some twists and turns within this track. I mean, you can't really avoid that if you're going through a city center. You aren't going to have that many opportunities to go full on straight line speed. With that being said, Chicago itself does provide the opportunity to do that in real life. If you were to base a track around Millennium Park or Lakeshore Drive, you would have vast open stretches of road. So it's a little bit concerning to me that I don't see those types of landmarks throughout this video. So even though this might not be accurate to what the city is actually like in real life, which yes is the case to all of the other tracks, because they are missing some very key features about Chicago's landscape, I'm a little bit disappointed. With that being said, however, one thing that I absolutely love with this gameplay is the verticality. I've been saying ever since the release of Asphalt 9 back in 2018 that it made no sense for the vast majority of these tracks to be on flat land with a couple of ramps here and there. I mean, we can jump and do barrel rolls, for crying out loud. Why aren't we jumping through buildings on top of skyscrapers exactly like what I'm seeing in this gameplay? So regardless of the fact that it might not be accurate to what Chicago is like in real life, the fact that we are jumping from skyscraper to skyscraper is absolutely phenomenal, and this is finally embracing what Asphalt is, in my opinion, all about. A couple of tricks here and there that you might not be able to see on your first go around is on this section where the person is jumping onto a glass roof, you can actually see some road barriers in the floor beneath, and this suggests to me that there will be multiple layers in this track. So I assume that section down below will be drivable, otherwise why would they put those road barriers that we see on other tracks? The other thing I notice is the kind of take on Whacker Drive, which is the 2-floor roadway that you see along the Chicago River in real life. They sort of have that, but it's elevated like a couple of 100 feet, so it seems like there will be yet another area for players to choose their own path. So overall, this track does look very exciting. Again, the thing that I want most for Asphalt is to embrace its unique style. So regardless of the fact that yes, maybe the track might not be optimized for the gameplay specifically, This is no doubt embracing the fun and chaos involved in jumping from skyscraper to skyscraper in supercars. This is what I want to see, similarly to how much I enjoy Norway. For all of its fault about crashing into the pole or crashing into the water because you can't do anything about it, you can't deny that the track is one of the most fun we've recently seen in Asphalt. So I'm expecting it to be fairly similar to Chicago. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think about Chicago in the comment section down below. I didn't want to do a super deep dive because I can assume that fairly shortly we will have access to the track ourselves. Of course, everyone is expecting a new Drive Syndicate as we usually do this time of year, and we can always expect a winter themed season this time of year after the Black Friday season. So that means I expect to see this track hopefully by the end of the year, but if not, shortly thereafter. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I definitely want to hear your thoughts about Chicago in the comment section down below. I was already browsing the comments on that video itself and it seemed like you guys have a lot to say. So yeah, I didn't want to do a super deep dive because eventually we will get the opportunity to drive this track ourselves, and that's where I want to make my final decisions. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I will catch you all in the next one.